Today's last section is to honor our great volunteers that did outstanding work for us in 2023. So this is a yearly program that SNIA has to honor our different groups and different volunteers who've made huge impacts in some of the work that we do over the year. So with that, I'll turn the floor over to our chair, Jay Metz,
Oh,
to
thanks,
talk
Michael.
about our winners. Sure.
Yes, let's talk about our winners of the award programs. I think one of the things that's really always this is also the kind of a bittersweet thing because we have so many volunteers. I mean, just look at all the things that we talked about over the last several hours. And so when we do these awards, they are quite significant. There's so many different contributions into SNIA, and we try to recognize as many as we possibly can, but every once in a while, it's important to really get involved and give thank you to the people who truly shine. So if you can go to the next one, please, the next slide. So our very first award, and one of the more most prestigious awards that we can give under the power vested in me by SNIA, is the Volunteer of the Year award. And I want to congratulate Jason Molgard, who you just heard. He's the co-chair of the technical council as well as chair of a number of our groups. Has selflessly stepped up to the crucial role of the Storage Developer Conference agenda chair, which was having midway through the events planning cycle, really jumped in with both feet. His steadiness and passion for the conference has helped lead the team to producing an excellent conference agenda. You saw that, we've gotten a lot of submissions, and we have a really high bar to match to make sure that we provide the best content we can. He's been willing to fill in the gap at the risk of some of his day job work, and it shows that he's got a complete commitment that's really over the top. And so you also heard him talking. He's got a really pleasant demeanor. He always keeps his good sense of humor, and yet he still maintains his other Christina co-chair duties and has provided a lot of great new ideas at the top leadership level. So, want to congratulate Jason for the Volunteer of the Year for 2023, and thank you very much for all that hard work. And so, next slide, please. And speaking of exceptional leadership, we want to recognize Rochelle, who you also just heard for a couple of sessions on the management side. She has, behind the scenes, has really stepped up and driven a lot of SNIA's change in the new paradigm that we're approaching for the new strategy and the mission and the vision for the organization. So the efforts to implement, this important shift from a storage-centric messaging to a data-centric messaging, which was kind of how we were living our life anyway. We just weren't really talking about it very well. She took a hold of that, and it was a huge task, and she managed it incredibly successfully. So she simultaneously volunteers. She works very hard as a chair of the groups and engages in multiple areas of the organization. And this is, just one of the many things that she does for her own day job at Intel. So she works on the strategy alliances, SMI, CMSI, just to name a few. And as a result, she seamlessly ties efforts back into the organization strategy. And so truly deserves the Exceptional Leadership Award for 2023. And I want to thank Rochelle personally for helping me as the chair of SNIA. She's also the vice chair of SNIA. A little bit of a tidbit there. And so she's kind of like Roy Kent. She's everywhere. All right, next slide, please. And so speaking of exceptional leadership, the Stay Group joined SNIA last year. And as part of those efforts, we want to recognize Cameron Brett, his efforts of the chair of the Solid State Drive Special Interest Group and Stay. He's been recognized in SNIA as a leader in the area of SSD education. He's actually the one that originated the idea of an SSD form factor page for SNIA, and that ranks as one of the top 3 of all pages that are viewed on SNIA.org. So Cameron supports the SSD education at a variety of industry events. He provides SSD drive samples to users to see the technology, and he leads form factor panels at industry events. He was also an early visionary for Stay to join SNIA, and we really appreciate the fact that Stay has completed a good rounding out of the SNIA family. So we're very grateful for that. And on top of all that, he's got a top-notch marketing background, which gives us an extra edge on our communication ability. So I want to thank Cameron for his contributions to being an exceptional leader for SNIA in 2023. Next slide, please. So I can't emphasize enough how much I agree with this particular award. Sue Amron, who is an advisor to the board, she has been a true advisor. I wanted to really emphasize she's often behind the scenes. She's a little bit gun shy in terms of getting in front of the camera. But we could not do what we do without her. She is truly an amazing contributor into SNIA. She's our treasurer. She's on our executive leadership board. And as a result, a lot of her contributions fly under the radar. A lot of people don't realize that, just because a crisis is averted doesn't mean that it wasn't there. And Sue's been an absolute rock for helping us out. She's also the chair of the membership committee, and one of those profound individuals who probably doesn't get recognized enough. So I am really grateful for the opportunity to give her her due for her sound advice and her open door policy for being able to check even when she's trekking around in Nepal. So major thanks to Sue Amarin for the Unsung Hero Award. And hopefully this gives her a little bit of the recognition that she is overdue and definitely deserves. So thank you very much, Sue. Next slide. And speaking of unsung heroes, another major thank you to Willie Nelson. Willie has been he kind of came in, jumped in with both feet to work as the CMSI treasurer for a number of years, which let's face it, the treasurer responsibility for both Sue and Willie is probably one of the most underrated contributions. And so he really had to step it up when it came to one of the largest organizations inside of SNIA, the CMSI. So he was able to help lead the efforts to produce a very successful compute plus memory plus storage summit. He's also contributed into the SNIA education activities for the Flash Memory Summit. He works very hard behind the scenes to encourage new members to contribute to CMSI work, and he builds a great community for that organization. So I think one of the things that a lot of people who work with Willie will agree is that his enthusiasm is quite contagious. So I'd like to offer a very profound thank you to Willie for all the great help he's given for us in SNIA for last year. The next one, yes, new contributor of the year. So it's a lot of people think that testing is probably not one of the sexiest things in the world, and I think that is a shame because quite frankly, this goes back to the misconception that a crisis averted is no crisis at all. And so Ivan Alexeyev has shown a lot of commitment into the green storage twig coming from the Calypso testers, even with a significant time zone difference. He's been routinely joining the working calls from Russia. He's extremely diligent in the work that he does conducting several test runs to validate if the CTP Lite is a good replacement for VD Bench for the Emerald spec. And quite frankly, we really couldn't do what we do without his contributions. So he's new to SNIA, and I want to thank him very much for his hard work for us in 2023. So thank you. And next, we have Munir from Ernst Young, who is an active DPPC contributor, the Data Protection and Privacy Committee, and he's been contributing into the Data Protection Best Practices white paper. On a personal level, the DPPC is something that I have a lot of passion for, which is a kind of a sad thing because I can't claim to know anything about security or even the inner workings of the technology regarding privacy. I just happen to have a moral and philosophical bugbear when it comes to any threats to privacy and security. So I truly appreciate all the work, especially the new contributions that come in from people like Munir. He's been contributing to the What Is pages, some white papers. He was a primary contributor and author on the What Is Mirroring webpage, and he actually dwarfs my passion about the work being done in DPPC. So we're very grateful for Munir's contributions into that organization. Thank you so much, Munir. Next slide. All right, Michael, you heard Michael earlier. Michael stepped up as the co-chair of the Cloud Storage Technology Initiative. He's worked tirelessly to ensure that that group has a big impact. And I think just in terms of punching above your weight, because CSDI has at certain points in the past had difficulty with the level of volunteers, and Michael and Aaron have really stepped up above and beyond what could possibly be considered, and it comes from a place of true commitment and passion. And so he's also stepped up and been proactive with the cloud storage twig to help better understand and promote the priorities. And from an educational perspective, Michael's helped spearhead in 8 different educational webinars in 23. That's more than all other groups combined. It's a true astounding feat. He's been very creative in suggesting topics for the group to present. He reaches out to colleagues with a wide range of expertise. He's always recruiting people to participate, and he's always been willing to volunteer to moderate panels. This is exactly the kind of spirit that we want to try to engender and encourage in volunteers, and I can't imagine anybody encapsulating that spirit better than Michael. So please, join me in thanking him for all the hard work and accepting his excellence in education award. Thank you, Michael, so much. Okay, so let me get a quick drink. Sadly, it's only iced tea. It's not quite martini o'clock yet. All right. So, significant impact on a previously existing technical work group, and the envelope goes to, or the envelope open, please. The Smart Data Accelerator group is one of those groups that actually has a really interesting, story behind it. And one of these days, I hope that we get a chance to go back through the etymology of how the group evolved. It's a data mover group. It talks about how do you create a software-based neutral DMA engine. And the group has grown substantially since it began in 2020. And through the introduction of version 1.0, it's won many industry awards. It includes the Flash Memory Summit Most Innovative Memory Technology Award. It's expanded its ecosystem presence in CXL, computational storage, NVMe. And the SDXI Twig is also developing an OS-independent software API library with contributions from different vendors. I think if you haven't heard about SDXI yet, you certainly will in 2024 and beyond, because it's showing itself to be a force to be reckoned with. And as we start to look at the collision course between memory and storage, the ability to move data is going to be absolutely critical. To do it from a hardware independent perspective is even more important when you can start to get into that kind of agnosticism for memory. Very, very critical work being done. And I honestly think that simply calling it significant impact is probably an understatement. So we should definitely congratulate the SDXI Twig for the hard work that they've done, and I couldn't be prouder of that particular group. For all the hard work that they've done. Truly has something to watch for the next year. Speaking of which, something to watch. You just heard Dave talk about the DNA data storage TA. So they've joined recently. It was only 2022 when the DNA technical affiliate joined us, and has been making great strides and has recently published their first specifications. As you heard Dave talk about, there's a lot of work that's still left to be done. They realize that there is a broader ecosystem impact to what they're doing. They're thinking outside the box, in some cases quite literally, and has really been able to capture a lot of the imagination and creativity of new storage and data initiatives that is the true heart and soul of what SNIA is looking to accomplish as we move forward in our next 25 years. So they got an active and healthy membership, and there's more projects underway. We can't wait to see what they're going to do next year. So next one, please. And speaking of the CMSI initiative, the group of the year this year goes to the CMSI. They've produced a lot of impressive work around the areas of education, outreach, and technical work. They've led the recognition and knowledge of SNIA at 6 industry events. They've completed a successful 11th annual summit. The work in the computational storage and SDXI has earned the most innovative memory technology Best of Show Award at the Flash Memory Summit. And so all of these things are all in the umbrella of the CMSI, and they contribute tremendously to the strengthening of the key SNIA strategic alliance and collaboration partnerships. Quite frankly, the CMSI has emerged as a heart and soul of the spirit of SNIA, and well deserved the group of the year for 2023. So major congratulations and kudos to that group for all the hard work that's been done, on our behalf. And then last but not least, we talked a little bit about Rochelle's hard work, but the entire strategy committee really deserves. You want to talk about unsung heroes. You want to talk about underrated groups. You want to talk about the the needs for people to get the recognition that they don't deserve. The strategy committee for SNIA had a lot of difficulty that they had to overcome. There is a lot of inertia in a group that's been around for 25 years plus. Right. There is a lot of, well, this is always the way that we've done it. This is the way that we need to, keep things going. Otherwise, we're going to lose, the interest of the people who've always been here. And that's just not, the way that we're going to, to win the hearts and minds moving forward. The strategy committee got together on a weekly basis and a bi-weekly basis, as the case was necessary, to completely rethink the way that we approached our vision in SNIA in the industry. We've gone from a rather insulated, isolated, let's just do what we need to do kind of a group, putting out great work, but not really connecting the dots, making the relationships between the different groups inside of SNIA and outside of SNIA. The strategy committee is the group that actually turned that around in combination with the very strong communication steering committee, the life cycle committee. It became a good heart and soul of SNIA about what it is that we're going to do. Who are we going to be when we grow up in the next 25 years? What are we going to actually accomplish? How are we going to reach the audience that needs to know that a lot of the stuff that they don't have to reinvent the wheel is already been done, and all they need to do is be able to communicate with us. So all of these different things have to be put into not just about a messaging. It's not about writing a vision statement or a mission statement. That's the outcome of the hard work. And that's what the strategy committee had to do. And all of these changes have been well received in the industry. And I can't stress enough how amusing it is. A little quick anecdote, because I know we're running out of time, but a little quick anecdote. I was at supercomputing last year, and I was talking to an analyst who did not know that I was the chair of SNIA. And I was working on behalf of another organization, and the analyst said, "Have you thought about talking to SNIA?" I said, "Really? Tell me more." He said, "Well, they're doing wonderful things. They're really getting out of their shell. They're starting to reach out and build bridges. And I honestly think that's something you should start taking a look at." And I said, "Well, I'm really glad to hear that." And he said, "Why?" And I said, "Well, because I'm the chair of SNIA." And the look on his face was absolutely priceless. But it was fantastic, unsolicited feedback from somebody who had no vested interest in promoting SNIA. It was just an observation on his part, but it also showed and validated the work that we've done, and that all comes from a group of people who are committed to SNIA, committed to making this organization shine for another 25 years. So huge thanks to the strategy committee for doing really difficult work, putting themselves out there, sticking their necks out, and putting forth proposals and suggestions that could have very well reached deaf ears, but they didn't. And so that persistence and that hard work really paid off. So major thanks, and I think everybody deserves to congratulate the strategy committee for all that hard work. And so that concludes our awards for 2023. Thank you so much for attending. I will go ahead and turn it over to back to Michael for the last bit of administrivia. But thank you so much for joining from the chair. Truly appreciate all the hard work um, and dedication that all the people that you've spoken with today have been contributing into SNIA. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jay, and thanks to all the award winners as well. We really appreciate all the good work and time and effort you put into volunteering for SNIA. So much appreciated. So we're going to produce put finishing touches on the video. We've been recording these sessions and all the PDFs as well from the presentations. We're going to post them online at snia.org/preview. So you'll be able to go there and view any of the content for today. And we thank you very much for attending.